The hidden cost of looking successful. A strange thing happens to many Americans the moment they start making more money. The promotion finally arrives. The paycheck gets bigger. The future looks brighter. And for the first time in years, life feels like it's moving in the right direction. Then something unexpected happens. The bigger paycheck disappears. Not all at once. Not in some dramatic financial disaster. It disappears quietly. A slightly nicer car. A slightly bigger house. A slightly more expensive vacation. A slightly more expensive version of everything. And before long, the freedom they expected never arrives. Instead, they're working harder than ever, earning more than ever, and somehow, feeling trapped. How does that happen? Why do so many people spend years climbing the ladder, only to discover they're standing inside a bigger cage? The answer has very little to do with money, and everything to do with what money represents. Let's begin. Meet Jason. At 39 years old, Jason was finally winning. At least that's what everyone around him believed. He had spent nearly 15 years building his career. Long hours, weekend projects, missed vacations, late nights. The sacrifices seemed worth it. His income had more than doubled since his 20s. He now lived in a beautiful neighborhood, drove a luxury SUV, owned a large home, and looked exactly like the kind of person who had made it. People admired him. Friends congratulated him. Family members pointed to him as an example of success. From the outside, everything looked perfect, but appearances can be expensive, and Jason was about to learn just how expensive. One Friday evening, he sat alone in his kitchen reviewing his finances. The numbers didn't make sense. His income was the highest it had ever been, yet his savings weren't growing the way he expected. His stress level remained high, and every month felt like a race. There was always another bill, another expense, another payment, another financial obligation waiting around the corner. The strangest part? Years earlier, when he earned far less money, he often felt more secure. How could that be? How could someone earning significantly more money feel less financially free? That question stayed with him, and what he discovered would completely change the way he viewed success. For most of human history, survival depended on belonging. Being accepted by the group mattered. Being respected mattered. Being admired mattered. Thousands of years later, those instincts are still with us. Only now, the tribe looks different. Today, status often arrives disguised as consumption. The car, the house, the watch, the neighborhood, the vacation photos, the carefully curated image of success. And most people never realize how powerfully those signals influence their decisions. Not because they're foolish, because they're human. Jason certainly didn't wake up one morning and decide to impress strangers. It happened gradually. The promotion came. Then the nicer car seemed reasonable. After all, he worked hard. Then the larger house seemed justified. His family needed more space. Then came the upgraded furniture, the expensive gym membership, the premium subscriptions, the luxury vacations. Each decision seemed small. Each decision seemed logical. And each decision slowly raised the cost of maintaining his lifestyle. But then something unexpected happened. The things that once felt luxurious became normal. The excitement faded. The satisfaction disappeared. And new desires took their place. That's when Jason encountered a concept that psychologists call hedonic adaptation. The idea is simple. Human beings quickly adapt to improvements. The new car becomes the normal car. The larger house becomes the regular house. The luxury lifestyle becomes ordinary. And once something becomes ordinary, it stops creating happiness. Most people spend years chasing a feeling that inevitably fades. Then they chase the next upgrade, and the next, and the next. The cycle never ends. The real surprise came later. One afternoon, Jason met an older client named Robert. Robert was retired, financially independent, calm, confident, and surprisingly modest. No luxury car, no designer clothing, no visible signs of extraordinary wealth. At first glance, most people would have assumed Jason was more successful. Then Jason learned something shocking. Robert's net worth was several times larger than his own. The difference wasn't even close. How could that be? How could someone who appeared so ordinary possess so much wealth? Jason couldn't stop thinking about it. Eventually, he asked. Robert smiled, then shared a lesson he had learned decades earlier. He said, "The fastest way to stay broke is to spend your money proving you're not." That sentence hit Jason harder than he expected, because deep down, he knew exactly what Robert meant. For years, he had been spending money to maintain an image. Not because he consciously wanted to impress people, because he wanted to feel successful. And those two things are often confused. That's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Most people assume wealth and appearance move together. They imagine wealthy people living dramatically different lives. Sometimes that's true, but often it isn't. Many truly wealthy people spend surprisingly little energy looking wealthy, while many financially stressed people spend enormous amounts of energy appearing successful. The distinction is critical. One group buys freedom. The other buys appearances. And appearances are expensive. Every dollar spent maintaining an image is a dollar that can't be invested, can't compound, can't create future opportunities, can't purchase freedom. The cost isn't just financial. It's emotional. Lifestyle inflation creates a hidden pressure. The more your lifestyle expands, the harder it becomes to maintain. A bigger house requires a bigger income. A luxury vehicle requires larger payments. An expensive lifestyle demands continuous financial performance. Suddenly, work is no longer a choice. It's a requirement. And that's when success quietly transforms into dependency. Jason began seeing examples everywhere. Friends earning six figures while living paycheck to paycheck. Professionals carrying enormous debt. Families with beautiful homes and constant financial stress. People who looked successful, but privately felt trapped. The pattern was impossible to ignore. Then came the biggest realization of all. The problem wasn't the purchases themselves. There is nothing wrong with a nice car. Nothing wrong with a beautiful home. Nothing wrong with enjoying life. The problem begins when purchases become identity. When possessions determine self-worth. When lifestyle becomes a performance. Because performances require audiences. And audiences are impossible to satisfy. There will always be someone richer, someone younger, someone driving a newer car, someone living in a larger home, someone posting more impressive photos online. Comparison has no finish line. The goal keeps moving. And that's exactly why so many people feel stuck. They're running toward a destination that doesn't exist. Meanwhile, the truly wealthy often focus on something very different. Options, flexibility, freedom, control over their time, control over their choices, the ability to say no, the ability to walk away, the ability to live according to their values rather than external expectations. And that's where the story reaches its most important lesson. One evening, Jason sat down and calculated something he had never considered before. Not his net worth, not his income, his freedom. How many months could he live without working? How much flexibility did he actually have? How many choices had his lifestyle removed? The answers were uncomfortable. His income was impressive. His freedom was not. For the first time, he realized something profound. A high income and financial freedom are not the same thing. Many people spend years pursuing one while sacrificing the other. And that realization changed everything. Over the next several years, Jason made gradual changes. Nothing dramatic. No extreme lifestyle overhaul. No radical financial plan. He simply became more intentional. He spent less energy trying to appear successful, and more energy building actual security. He invested consistently, reduced unnecessary expenses, focused on long-term freedom rather than short-term appearances. At first, nobody noticed. Then something interesting happened. His stress declined. His savings increased. His flexibility expanded. The gap between how successful he looked and how secure he felt began to disappear. For the first time in years, his finances supported his life, rather than controlling it. And that's when the final twist arrived. Years later, Jason attended a reunion. He saw former colleagues, old friends, people he hadn't seen in a long time. Many looked incredibly successful. Luxury cars, expensive clothing, impressive lifestyles. But after enough conversations, a familiar pattern emerged. Many were exhausted, financially stretched, trapped by the very image they had worked so hard to create. Meanwhile, Jason felt something he rarely experienced in his younger years. Peace. Not because he was the richest person in the room, because he no longer needed to prove anything. And in that moment, he finally understood what Robert had meant all those years ago. The hidden cost of looking successful is not money. It's freedom. Every decision made for appearance comes with a price measured in flexibility, in options, in peace of mind, in control over your future. The most expensive car isn't always the one with the highest payment. It's the one that forces you to keep working when you'd rather be somewhere else. The most expensive house isn't always the largest. It's the one that quietly owns you. The most expensive lifestyle isn't the most luxurious. It's the one that steals your freedom while convincing you that you've succeeded. Because true wealth was never about looking successful. It was about creating a life that feels successful. A life where your choices belong to you. A life where your happiness isn't dependent on someone else's approval. A life where your financial decisions align with your values. And perhaps that's the greatest financial lesson of all. The people who look wealthy are not always wealthy. The people who are wealthy do not always look wealthy. But the people who are truly free rarely spend much time worrying about either. Because the ultimate goal was never to impress strangers. The goal was freedom. And once you understand that, you may never look at success the same way again.